In the desert heat of Las Vegas, something extraordinary was happening. The city that had been built by mobsters and dreamers was changing hands. A new breed of power was emerging. Not from the back rooms of casinos or the shadows of organized crime, but from corporate boardrooms and stock exchanges. This is the story of how two companies transformed Las Vegas from a collection of individual resorts into a corporate empire. This is the story of MGM Resorts and Caesars Entertainment, and how they built the modern Las Vegas we know today. The early foundations. To understand how corporate giants came to dominate the Las Vegas Strip, we need to go back to a time when the city was still finding its identity. In the 1960s, Las Vegas was a place of individual operators. Each casino was its own kingdom. The Flamingo, the Desert Inn, the Sands, these weren't just hotels, they were personalities. But one man saw something different on the horizon. His name was Kirk Kerkorian. Born on June the 6th, 1917, in Fresno, California, Kerkorian was the son of Armenian immigrants. His family had fled present-day Turkey, carrying with them little more than hope and determination. Kerkorian dropped out of school in the 8th grade. He became a boxer, then a pilot. During World War II, he flew dangerous missions delivering planes across the Atlantic. A job that paid well but came with enormous risks. After the war, Kerkorian saw opportunity where others saw only desert sand. He started small, refurbishing a tiny twin-engine plane and flying passengers between Southern California and the growing gambling town of Las Vegas. In 1947, he bought a small charter airline and renamed it Trans-International Airlines. The airline grew. The stock soared. Kerkorian made millions. But he wasn't satisfied. He looked at the Las Vegas Strip and saw not just the city, but a blank canvas for something much bigger. In 1962, Kerkorian bought 80 acres of land across from the Flamingo Hotel. He paid $960,000. The land sat empty for years, but Kerkorian had a plan. He leased the property to developers who built Caesar's Palace, the legendary Roman-themed resort that opened in 1966. The rent from that lease made Kerkorian millions. When he eventually sold the land to Caesars in 1968, he walked away with $9 million, worth $70 million in today's money. But Kerkorian wasn't done, not even close. In 1967, he bought 82 acres on Paradise Road for $5 million. With architect Martin Stern Jr., he built something unprecedented. The International Hotel opened in 1969. At the time, it was the largest hotel in the world, over 1,500 rooms spread across 30 stories. The opening night lineup showed Kerkorian understood that Las Vegas was about more than just gambling. It was about entertainment. The first two performers at the International's massive showroom were Barbra Streisand and Elvis Presley. Elvis's residency was legendary. He brought in 4,200 customers every single day for 30 days straight. These weren't just guests. They were potential gamblers, filling the casino floor with energy and money. Elvis broke every attendance record in Las Vegas history. The International Hotel proved something crucial. Big could work. Huge could work. You didn't need intimate. You didn't need small scale. If you built it large enough and filled it with stars, people would come in numbers never seen before. Kerkorian had discovered a formula that would reshape Las Vegas forever. The MGM Grand Vision. While Kerkorian was conquering Las Vegas real estate, he was also looking at Hollywood. In 1969, the same year the International Hotel opened, Kerkorian began buying stock in Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, the legendary film studio. By the end of the year, he had working control of MGM. Most Hollywood insiders didn't understand what Kerkorian was doing. He wasn't interested in making movies. He was interested in the brand. The MGM name meant glamour, prestige, and entertainment. It meant Leo the Lion roaring before every film. It meant the golden age of Hollywood. Kerkorian saw that brand as something far more valuable than any single film. He could put it on a building. In 1971, Kerkorian announced something audacious. MGM would embark on a significant diversification into the leisure field by building the world's largest resort hotel in Las Vegas. The MGM Grand Hotel would rise 26 stories. It would have 2,084 rooms, a 1,200-seat showroom, a shopping arcade, a movie theater, and even a jai alai fronton. The budget was $107 million. The groundbreaking ceremony in 1972 was pure Las Vegas theater. Champagne flowed, celebrities mingled, executives networked, and in a corner, nursing a scotch and trying not to be noticed, was Kirk Kerkorian. He hated the spotlight. He never gave interviews. He didn't use credit cards. He didn't have an email account. He didn't shop in retail stores. Even when donating millions to charity, he never allowed anything to be named in his honor. But his vision was impossible to ignore. The MGM Grand opened on July the 5th, 1973. It was the largest hotel in the world, just as the International had been. The property was named after the 1932 MGM film Grand Hotel. It represented everything Las Vegas was becoming: scale, spectacle, corporate sophistication. This wasn't a mob casino hiding money in the count room. This was a publicly traded company building an entertainment empire. For 7 years, the MGM Grand was the crown jewel of the Strip. But then tragedy struck. On November the 21st, 1980, an electrical fire ignited in the casino. Flames and toxic smoke raced through the building. The Clark County Fire Department reported 84 deaths initially. The final toll was 87 people, including 3 who died later from injuries sustained in the fire. It was one of the worst disasters in Las Vegas history. The fire devastated Kerkorian. When asked about it years later, his poker face would soften, his brown eyes would lower, and he would say quietly, "It's something I rarely ever talk about because how do you talk about it?" The fire brought legal troubles, lawsuits totaling $1 billion. Plans for new properties were put on hold. Investors were wary of funneling money into a company facing such massive liability. But 8 months later, the MGM Grand reopened. Kerkorian had survived the worst disaster in Las Vegas history. And he wasn't finished building. In 1986, he sold the MGM Grand Hotels in Las Vegas and Reno to Bally Manufacturing for $594 million. He retained the rights to the MGM name. He sold the MGM film studio to cable television mogul Ted Turner for $1.5 billion. But when Turner's debt load became crushing, Kerkorian bought back portions of the studio for much less than he'd sold them. He was playing a long game that few understood. And he was about to build his masterpiece. The third time's the charm. In 1989, Kerkorian began acquiring land near the southern end of the Las Vegas Strip. He bought the Marina Hotel for $80 million. He bought the Tropicana Country Club property behind it. Together, the parcels gave him over 100 acres at the intersection of Tropicana Avenue and Las Vegas Boulevard. His plan was ambitious, even by his standards. He would build the MGM Grand Hotel and Theme Park. It would be the largest hotel in the world, for the third time in his career. But this time, it would be different. This wouldn't just be a hotel, it would be a destination. There would be 5,000 rooms, 8 restaurants, a health club, a monorail, a 15,000-seat arena called the MGM Grand Garden, and a theme park as large as Disneyland when it opened in 1955. The total cost, $1 billion. It was part of a broader trend sweeping Las Vegas. In the early 90s, the city was repositioning itself as a family-friendly destination. The Mirage, with its erupting volcano, had opened in 1989. Excalibur, with its castle theme, followed in 1990. The message was clear. Las Vegas wasn't just for gamblers anymore. It was for everyone. The MGM Grand embraced this vision fully. Its theme was The Wizard of Oz, the beloved 1939 MGM film. 45-foot-tall lion stood guard at the entrance. Inside, emerald green colors dominated the design. The groundbreaking ceremony on October the 7th, 1991, was heavily inspired by the Wizard of Oz theme. Construction proceeded ahead of schedule. The topping off ceremony came on February the 23rd, 1993. The MGM Grand opened to the public on the morning of December the 18th, 1993. Opening came 3 months earlier than initially planned. The property employed 8,000 people. It had been built in just over 2 years. At the time of opening, the MGM Grand Casino covered 171,500 square feet, the world's largest casino floor. The property revolutionized Las Vegas in ways that went beyond size. The MGM Grand was the first casino in Las Vegas to use ticket-in ticket-out technology for slot machines. No more coins, no more messy count rooms. Everything was electronic, trackable, efficient. It was the first truly modern corporate casino. Guest data could be collected, spending patterns analyzed, marketing targeted with precision. The old Vegas was about gut instinct and high rollers. The new Vegas was about data and efficiency. Kerkorian had built not just a hotel, but a model for the future. Steve Wynn and the Mirage Revolution. While Kerkorian was building his MGM empire, another visionary was transforming Las Vegas. His name was Steve Wynn. Wynn had taken over the Golden Nugget Casino in downtown Las Vegas in the early 1970s. He expanded it, made it profitable, built another Golden Nugget in Atlantic City. But Wynn wanted more. In 1989, he opened the Mirage on the Las Vegas Strip. It cost $630 million, financed largely through junk bonds. Many industry observers thought Wynn was insane. The project was too expensive, too risky, too elaborate. The Mirage had a volcano that erupted every 15 minutes. Inside, there was a white tiger habitat, a 20,000-gallon aquarium behind the check-in desk, and a rainforest atrium. It was spectacle on a level Las Vegas had never seen. And it worked. The Mirage was profitable from day one. It proved that luxury could work in Las Vegas. You didn't have to compete on price. You could compete on experience. Wynn followed the Mirage with Treasure Island in 1993, complete with a pirate battle show on the Strip. Then came his masterpiece. Bellagio opened in 1998. It cost $1.5 billion. It had hand-blown glass flowers covering the lobby ceiling, created by artist Del Chihuly. It had fountains choreographed to music, dancing in front of the property every 15 minutes. It had an art gallery featuring works by Picasso, Monet, and Van Gogh. Bellagio wasn't just a casino resort. It was a statement. Las Vegas could be elegant, sophisticated, cultured. Wynn had created Mirage Resorts, a company that owned the Mirage, Treasure Island, and Bellagio, plus the Golden Nugget in downtown Las Vegas and properties in Mississippi. It was the gold standard for luxury gaming. But in the year 2000, Wynn faced a problem. Share prices for Mirage Resorts were falling despite the success of his properties. The stock market didn't fully appreciate what Wynn had built. And Kirk Kerkorian was watching. The mega merger. MGM acquires Mirage. In May of 2000, Kerkorian's MGM Grand Incorporated made an offer to buy Mirage Resorts. The price, $6.4 billion. At the time, it was the largest transaction in gaming industry history. Wynn accepted the offer. The deal brought the Mirage, Treasure Island, and Bellagio under MGM control. The company renamed itself MGM Mirage. Kirk Kerkorian retained a commanding share of the new publicly traded company. With this single acquisition, MGM Mirage became one of the two largest gaming companies in the world. The only company larger was Harrah's Entertainment. The merger represented a fundamental shift in Las Vegas. No longer were individual operators building casinos based on personal vision. Now, corporations were consolidating properties, creating portfolios that spanned the Strip. Cross-marketing became possible. A guest staying at the Mirage could earn rewards points that worked at MGM Grand or Bellagio. One company now controlled a massive portion of the Strip's hotel rooms, gaming tables, and slot machines. The scale was unprecedented. But MGM Mirage wasn't done expanding. In 1994, MGM had formed a joint venture with Primadonna Resorts to build New York Hotel and Casino. The property opened in January 1997, featuring replicas of the Statue of Liberty, the Brooklyn Bridge, and the New York skyline. It cost $460 million to build. Kerkorian eventually bought out his partner's share, adding New York fully to the MGM portfolio. The company also attempted international expansion. In 1994, MGM announced plans to build 2 resort casinos in China on Hainan Island. The project never materialized. In Australia, MGM bought the Diamond Beach Hotel and Casino in Darwin, renaming it MGM Grand Darwin. In Illinois, MGM agreed to pay $600 million for the unfinished Emerald Casino, but state gambling regulators rejected the deal. In the United Kingdom, MGM pursued various projects, opening an online casino and seeking property acquisitions. But these international ventures largely amounted to nothing. The British expansion plans were abandoned when the government scaled back plans for large casinos. MGM sold its smaller outlying properties to focus on its core strength, the Las Vegas Strip. The Golden Nugget casinos in Las Vegas and Laughlin were sold in 2004 for $215 million. MGM Grand Darwin was sold for $140 million. In 2007, MGM disposed of properties in Laughlin and Primm, Nevada. The strategy was clear: concentrate power on the Strip, build bigger, build better, dominate the most valuable real estate in Las Vegas. The Mandalay Bay acquisition. While MGM Mirage was consolidating its strip presence, another major player was building its empire. Mandalay Resort Group had started life as Circus Enterprises. Founded in 1968, Circus owned properties that appealed to middle-class and value-oriented guests. Circus Las Vegas, Excalibur, Luxor. These weren't luxury properties, but they were successful. In 1999, Circus built its flagship, Mandalay Bay. The property occupied 120 acres at the south end of the Strip. It cost $950 million. Mandalay Bay featured a tropical South Seas theme, a massive pool complex, and a convention center. The company moved its headquarters there and changed its name to Mandalay Resort Group. By 2004, Mandalay Resort Group was the largest hotel and casino corporation in Las Vegas by square footage of casino space and number of hotel rooms. Its portfolio included Mandalay Bay, Luxor, Excalibur, Circus, and half ownership of Monte Carlo. The company also had properties in Laughlin, Nevada, and in Tunica, Mississippi, but the consolidation wave was about to sweep them up. In June 2004, MGM Mirage announced it would acquire Mandalay Resort Group. The price, $7.9 billion. The deal included $4.8 billion in cash, $600 million in convertible debentures, and $2.5 billion in assumed debt. It was another record-breaking transaction. Terry Laney, chairman and CEO of MGM Mirage, said the acquisition would create the world's leading gaming and leisure company with an unmatched portfolio of resorts. The combination would bring 11 of the top 22 Strip properties under MGM Mirage control. That meant 44% of the table games on the Strip, 40% of the slot machines. Regulators had to approve the deal. Antitrust concerns loomed large. Could one company control that much of Las Vegas without stifling competition? The Federal Trade Commission investigated for months. Ultimately, they approved the transaction. Their reasoning: Las Vegas faced plenty of competition from tribal casinos across the country, from Atlantic City, and from emerging markets like Macau. One company controlling much of the Strip didn't constitute an anti-competitive monopoly. On February the 16th, 2005, the FTC voted unanimously to allow the buyout to proceed. Nevada gaming regulators followed suit. The deal closed in April 2005. MGM Mirage now owned or operated 28 properties across Nevada, Mississippi, Illinois, Michigan, and New Jersey. On the Las Vegas Strip alone, MGM controlled MGM Grand, Bellagio, The Mirage, Treasure Island, New York, New York, Monte Carlo, Mandalay Bay, Luxor, Excalibur, Circus. It was a stunning collection spanning the entire length of the Strip from south to north. The company employed 70,000 people. Annual revenues approached $7 billion. MGM Mirage had become a colossus. But Kerkorian wasn't finished. He had one more grand vision. The largest privately funded construction project in United States history. Project City Center. In November 2004, MGM Mirage announced something unprecedented. Project City Center. The concept came from Jim Murren, MGM's president and chief financial officer. Murren envisioned an urban gathering place for Las Vegas, similar to Greenwich Village in New York or Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco. Not a single resort, but a city within a city. City Center would be built on 67 acres between the Bellagio and Monte Carlo resorts. The site included land that had once been the golf course for the Dunes Hotel Casino, closed in 1993. Most of it was now used for Bellagio employee parking. MGM also owned the Boardwalk Hotel Casino on part of the site, a small property that would be demolished to make room for the project. City Center would include a 40,000-room casino resort, 3 boutique hotels, condominiums, and over 500,000 square feet of shopping and dining. The project would be the same size as Rockefeller Center, Soho, and Times Square combined. Initially, executives said the project would cost at least $4 billion. In reality, the cost would spiral far beyond that. MGM spent 20 months working with architecture firm Ehrenkrantz Eckstut and Kuhn on the master plan. Then they assembled a team of world-renowned architects. Pelly Clark. Pelly would design the main resort, eventually named Aria. Raphael Vignoli would design Vidara, a non-gaming hotel. Con Pedersen Fox would design Mandarin Oriental. Helmut Jahn would design Veer Towers, residential high-rises. Foster and Partners would design the Harmon Hotel. Studio Daniel Liebeskind would design Crystals, a retail and entertainment district. It was an unprecedented architectural collaboration. MGM called it Starkitecture. Buildings designed by the biggest names in architecture rather than the usual casino designers. The company committed to environmental sustainability. City Center would pursue LEED Gold certification for all its major buildings. It would be the largest LEED certified development in the world. Construction began on June the 25th, 2006. Perini Building Company served as general contractor, but almost immediately, the project faced challenges. By 2006, the budget had increased to $7 billion. Rising costs of construction materials and labor were eating into projections. MGM added a monorail system connecting City Center's various buildings. Design changes during construction kept raising the budget. In August 2007, Dubai World announced it would invest $2.7 billion to acquire a 50% stake in City Center. Dubai World would also buy 9.5% of MGM Mirage itself for $2.4 billion. The partnership brought crucial financing, but it also brought cultural differences. Dubai World was a state investment company from the United Arab Emirates. MGM was a Las Vegas gaming company with roots in Hollywood. The two entities didn't always see eye to eye. Construction proceeded through 2007. By 2008, the budget had reached $8.7 billion. Then came the financial crisis. The financial crisis nearly kills City Center. In September 2008, Lehman Brothers collapsed. The global financial system nearly imploded. Credit markets froze. Real estate values plummeted. Las Vegas was at the epicenter of the crisis. The city had been built on easy credit and rising property values. When both vanished overnight, projects across the strip ground to a halt. Condominiums that had been selling at record prices suddenly couldn't find buyers. Construction loans that had seemed routine became impossible to obtain. MGM Mirage found itself in a nightmare scenario. City Center was now projected to cost over $9 billion, but condo pre-sales, which were supposed to finance a large portion of the project, had collapsed. Buyers were walking away from deposits. International investors who had seemed eager in 2007 were now impossible to reach. MGM needed cash desperately. The company sold Treasure Island to billionaire Phil Ruffin for $750 million in March 2009. MGM also put other properties on the market, including MGM Grand Detroit and Beau Rivage in Mississippi. In March 2009, Dubai World filed a lawsuit in Delaware Chancery Court. The lawsuit sought to release Dubai World from its City Center joint venture obligations. Dubai World accused MGM of mismanaging the project, resulting in massive cost overruns. MGM's annual report had stated that there was substantial doubt about our ability to continue as a going concern. The phrase going concern is accounting language for a company that might not survive. If MGM declared bankruptcy, City Center could be dragged into bankruptcy court with it. Construction would halt indefinitely. Billions already spent would be lost. Thousands of workers would lose their jobs. For Kirk Kerkorian, now in his 90s, this was his greatest gamble. His entire fortune was tied up in MGM Mirage. If the company went under, so did he. Despite considerations to abandon the project, Kerkorian was 100% committed to press on. His philosophy had always been to finish what you start. MGM instituted cost-cutting measures. The budget was trimmed from $9.3 billion to $8.5 billion. The Harmon Hotel, originally designed as 49 stories, was cut to just 28 floors. Condos at the Harmon were eliminated entirely. Construction defects had been discovered in the building, faulty rebar installation that made the structure potentially unsafe. Rather than spend hundreds of millions fixing it, MGM simply scaled back the building. MGM also negotiated with Dubai World. The lawsuit was eventually settled. Dubai World agreed to continue funding its share of the project. But the relationship was strained. City Center limped toward completion through 2009. Workers had faced tragedy during construction. 6 workers died on the project between 2006 and 2008. In June 2008, workers walked off the job for a day to protest safety conditions. Construction resumed only after Perini agreed to improved safety measures. The deaths cast a shadow over the project, but slowly, building by building, City Center took shape. City Center opens. On December the 1st, 2009, Vidara and Mandarin Oriental opened to guests. On December the 16th, Aria Resort and Casino, the crown jewel of City Center, held its grand opening. The property had 4,004 rooms. It featured a 150,000 square foot casino. There were 16 restaurants, including several by celebrity chefs. A Cirque du Soleil show called Ka performed in a custom theater. The design was contemporary and sophisticated. Glass, steel, and flowing curves. No themes, no volcanoes, no pirate shows. City Center represented a new vision for Las Vegas. Urban, modern, upscale. The Crystal's retail and entertainment district opened adjacent to Aria, featuring high-end shops like Louis Vuitton, Prada, and Gucci. Veer Towers, the residential component, began occupancy in January 2010. The Harmon Hotel remained incomplete, its structural defects too severe to fix economically. It would stand as an empty shell for years before finally being demolished. In total, City Center cost $8.5 billion. It was the most expensive privately funded construction project in United States history. The debt burden was crushing. MGM had to write off over $1 billion in City Center valuations during the financial crisis. But the project was complete, and slowly it began to generate revenue. In 2010, MGM Mirage changed its name to MGM Resorts International. The change reflected the company's global ambitions and diversified operations beyond Las Vegas. Jim Murren became CEO. Kirk Kerkorian remained the largest shareholder but stepped back from day-to-day operations. The company focused on paying down debt, improving operations, and adapting to the post-recession economy. City Center had nearly destroyed MGM. But it survived, and in the years that followed, Aria would become one of the most successful properties on the Strip. The complex won 6 LEED Gold certifications for environmental design. It attracted a younger, wealthier clientele. It proved that Las Vegas could evolve beyond themed mega resorts. City Center was Kirk Kerkorian's final grand vision for Las Vegas. He died on June the 15th, 2015, at age 98. The Las Vegas lights were not dimmed in his honor as they had been for other casino legends. He wouldn't have wanted the attention. But his impact on Las Vegas was undeniable. He had built the world's largest hotel 3 times. He had survived financial crises, legal battles, and personal tragedies. He had transformed Las Vegas from a collection of mob-run casinos into a corporate entertainment empire. MGM Resorts International, the company he founded, now operates resorts around the world. But his greatest legacy remains on the Las Vegas Strip. The Caesar story, from Harrah's to corporate giant. While MGM was building its empire, another company was quietly assembling what would become the world's most geographically diversified casino corporation. Its roots trace back to October the 29th, 1937. That was the day Bill Harrah opened a small bingo parlor in Reno, Nevada. Harrah's bingo club was modest by any standard. But Bill Harrah had vision. He understood that gambling was ultimately about hospitality. Treat guests well, offer them a quality experience, and they'd return. In 1946, Harrah opened his first hotel. It was a small property, but it established a pattern. Harrah's wasn't about flash or glamour. It was about consistency, service, and making middle-class guests feel valued. In 1956, Harrah opened a property at Lake Tahoe. He established a busing program that brought working-class gamblers from Northern California to his Reno and Lake Tahoe casinos. While Las Vegas chased high rollers and celebrities, Harrah's quietly built loyalty among everyday people. Bill Harrah's success attracted corporate attention. In 1971, Harrah's went public. 2 years later, the company listed on the New York Stock Exchange. This provided capital for expansion. But Bill Harrah died in 1978. The company was eventually acquired by Holiday Inns Incorporated in 1980. Holiday Inns saw casino gaming as a natural extension of hospitality. The company that ran family-friendly hotels across America now owned casinos in Nevada. In 1990, Holiday Inns restructured. The company separated its hotel casinos from its non-gaming hotels, creating two distinct entities. The casino division became the Promise Companies. In 1995, Promise split again. The gaming properties became Harrah's Entertainment Incorporated. Non-gaming hotels became a separate company. Harrah's Entertainment now owned 16 gaming properties across the United States. It was time to revolutionize the industry. Total rewards. The data revolution. On September the 4th, 1997, Harrah's Entertainment launched something unprecedented in the casino industry. Total Gold. A system-wide loyalty program. The program cost $20 million to develop. It allowed points earned at one Harrah's casino to be redeemed for goods and services at any other Harrah's property. This doesn't sound revolutionary now, but in 1997, it was groundbreaking. Most casinos tracked players individually at each property. A high roller at one casino was unknown at another location, even within the same company. Harrah's created a unified database. Every bet, every meal, every hotel stay, all tracked across all properties. Players received a card they could use anywhere in the Harrah's system. The program was renamed Total Rewards on April the 4th, 2000, and it became the most powerful marketing tool in gaming history. Total Rewards allowed Harrah's to do something unprecedented. They could track customer behavior with scientific precision. Which games did people play? How much did they spend? When did they visit? What incentives brought them back? Harrah's began hiring statisticians and data analysts. They built predictive models. They could calculate exactly how much to offer in free play to entice a customer back. Not too much. That wastes money. Not too little. The customer won't return. The exact right amount to maximize profitability. In 1998, Harvard Business School professor Gary Loveman joined Harrah's as Chief Operating Officer. Loveman was an academic, not a casino veteran. He believed in data-driven decision-making. he turned Harrah's into a giant experiment in behavioral economics. Every promotion was tested. Every offer was analyzed. The company tracked which customers were most valuable, not just who spent the most, but who was most likely to return. They found that consistent, middle-tier customers were often more profitable long-term than erratic high rollers. Harrah's optimized everything: slot machine placement, table game limits, restaurant offerings, all based on data showing what customers actually wanted rather than what casino operators thought they wanted. The approach worked spectacularly. While other casino companies relied on gut instinct and traditional marketing, Harrah's grew through scientific precision. Total rewards became the template, copied by every major casino company. But Harrah's had a head start measured in years. Their database was larger, more refined, more valuable than any competitors. The Caesars acquisition. With Total Rewards driving growth, Harrah's began acquiring properties aggressively. In 1999, the company moved its headquarters from Memphis to Las Vegas. It was a symbolic move. Las Vegas was the epicenter of American gaming. If you wanted to be a major player, you needed to be there. But Harrah's biggest move came in 2005. On June the 13th, Harrah's completed its acquisition of Caesars Entertainment Incorporated. The price, $10.4 billion. It was, at the time, the largest merger in gaming history. The deal was spurred by news of MGM Mirage's acquisition of Mandalay Resort Group. Two mega mergers happened almost simultaneously. Both companies were racing to consolidate the industry. Caesars Entertainment had a storied history. The original Caesars Palace opened in 1966, built by Jay Sarno and Stanley Malin. It was financed partly by a $10.6 million loan from the Teamsters Central States Pension Fund. Caesars Palace revolutionized Las Vegas. It was the first truly themed resort. Ancient Rome recreated in the Nevada desert. Columns, statues, toga-clad cocktail waitresses. It made every guest feel like royalty. Over the decades, Caesars Palace became the most iconic property on the Strip. It hosted championship boxing matches, legendary performers, Hollywood celebrities, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Elvis Presley performed there during his comeback years. Evel Knievel jumped the Caesars Palace fountains on a motorcycle in 1967. The crash nearly killed him, but it became one of the most famous stunts in television history. Caesars Entertainment Incorporated owned not just Caesars Palace, but also Bally's, Flamingo, Paris Las Vegas, and the Rio. The company had 22 properties across 3 continents, more than 25,000 hotel rooms, 50,000 employees, annual revenue of $4.2 billion. When Harrah's acquired Caesars, the combined company became the world's largest casino operator. They would have over 40 casinos, plus 4 cruise ship casinos. The portfolio spanned 6 countries, but the acquisition came with challenges. Antitrust regulators were concerned. Both companies owned properties in several overlapping markets. To gain approval, Harrah's sold several properties. Harrah's East Chicago went to buyers, approved by gaming regulators. Harrah's Mardi Gras in Louisiana was sold. The FTC eventually approved the merger. On June the 13th, 2005, the deal closed. Harrah's Entertainment now controlled massive swaths of the Las Vegas Strip. Caesar's Palace, Bally's, Paris, Planet Hollywood, Flamingo, Harrah's Las Vegas, Rio, plus regional properties across the United States. Gary Loveman, who became CEO of Harrah's in 2003, led the integration. The Caesars properties were folded into the total reward system. Suddenly, all those customers gambling at Caesar's Palace were part of Harrah's vast database. Cross-marketing became possible on an unprecedented scale. A couple staying at Caesar's could be offered a free weekend at Harrah's Lake Tahoe. A customer who loved steakhouses at Paris could receive a discount at a steakhouse at the Rio. The synergies were enormous, but there was a philosophical tension. Caesar's had always been about luxury and prestige. Harrah's had always been about middle-class value and data-driven efficiency. How do you merge those two identities? Initially, Harrah's kept both brands separate. Caesar's properties maintained their upscale image. Harrah's properties continued serving middle-tier customers. But behind the scenes, everything ran on the same systems, the same database, the same analytics, the same rewards program. The private equity buyout. In 2006, Harrah's Entertainment received an offer. Two private equity firms, Apollo Global Management and TPG Capital, wanted to buy the company. The offer was $27.4 billion. It would be one of the largest leveraged buyouts in history. Harrah's board agreed. The deal closed in January 2008. Harrah's Entertainment went private. The timing was terrible. The financial crisis hit just months later. Private equity buyouts are built on debt. The strategy is to borrow money to buy a company, then use the company's profits to pay back the debt. But the 2008 recession destroyed that model. Casino revenues collapsed. Harrah's, now laden with $25 billion in debt, faced catastrophe. The company had always reinvested profits into maintaining and updating properties. Before the buyout, Harrah's spent $250 million a year on property upkeep. After the buyout, that budget was slashed to $50 million. Casinos that had been known for quality started to look shabby. Carpets went unreplaced, paint faded, maintenance was deferred. The debt load was simply too heavy. Revenues were falling as a recession hit. Customers stopped traveling. Interest payments consumed profits that should have gone to improvements. The company even considered spinning off its total rewards database into a separate company and selling it. The database was potentially worth billions, but selling it would have gutted Harrah's competitive advantage. Ultimately, they kept the database, but the financial situation remained dire. In 2010, Harrah's Entertainment changed its name to Caesars Entertainment Corporation. The rationale was that the Caesars brand had more global recognition. Harrah's suggested middle-tier value. Caesars suggested luxury, history, and prestige. The name change was partly cosmetic, but it signaled a shift. The company wanted to be seen as upscale, worthy of high-end customers and international expansion. Gary Loveman remained CEO through this turbulent period. He tried to refinance the debt. He sold some properties to reduce the burden, but the weight was too heavy. In January 2015, Caesars Entertainment Operating Company, the division that ran most of the casinos, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The bankruptcy was complex. Different parts of the company had different ownership structures. Gaming regulators needed to approve any restructuring. The bankruptcy dragged on for years. It wasn't fully resolved until 2017, when Caesars emerged with a somewhat reduced debt load. But the damage had been done. For over a decade, Caesars had been starved of investment. Properties fell behind newer resorts in amenities and technology. Competitors like MGM, Wynn, and Las Vegas Sands built gleaming new properties. Caesars struggled to keep up. The Eldorado merger. In March 2019, rumors began circulating. Caesars Entertainment Corporation was in merger talks with Eldorado Resorts. It seemed unlikely. Caesars was a giant with 53 properties. Eldorado was much smaller with 26 properties. Eldorado's roots trace back to the Eldorado Hotel in Reno, opened in 1973 by the Carano family. Over decades, Eldorado had quietly acquired regional casinos. They were known for operational efficiency and local management. But a small regional operator buying the Caesars empire seemed impossible. On June the 23rd, 2019, the impossible happened. Caesars officially accepted Eldorado's offer. The deal was valued at $8.6 billion in stock and cash. But this wasn't really a small company buying a large one. It was effectively a merger of equals. After completion, the combined company would be called Caesars Entertainment. Tom Reeg, CEO of Eldorado, would become CEO of the new Caesars. Gary Loveman and the old Caesars leadership stepped aside. The merger promised to combine Eldorado's operational efficiency with Caesars' vast property portfolio and total rewards database. The deal required regulatory approval across multiple states. Caesars had to sell some properties to address antitrust concerns. In Indiana, Caesars sold Tropicana Evansville and Caesars Southern Indiana. In Europe and Africa, Caesars sold its international properties. The merger finally closed on July the 20th, 2020, right in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. Casinos across America were closed or operating at reduced capacity. It was perhaps the worst possible timing for a major merger. But the deal went through. The new Caesars Entertainment operated over 50 properties. It controlled roughly 1/3 of the gaming industry in the United States. The combined company had the largest loyalty program in gaming. 65 million members in the total rewards database. For the Carano family and Eldorado executives, it was the culmination of decades of building. They had started with a single property in Reno. Now they ran an empire. The modern landscape. Corporate dominance. By 2020, the transformation of Las Vegas was complete. The city that had been built by mobsters and individual dreamers was now dominated by two publicly traded corporations, MGM Resorts. International and Caesars Entertainment controlled the vast majority of the Las Vegas Strip. Between them, they owned MGM Grand, Bellagio, Aria, Park, MGM, The Mirage, Mandalay Bay, Luxor, Excalibur, New York, Caesars Palace, Flamingo, Harrah's, Paris, Planet Hollywood, The Link, Rio. Nearly every major property on the Strip was owned by one of these two companies. The only significant independent operators were Wynn Resorts, Las Vegas Sands, and a handful of smaller properties. The corporate model had won. Data replaced gut instinct. Loyalty programs replaced personal relationships with high rollers. Efficiency replaced the Wild West chaos of old Las Vegas. The corporations brought stability. They brought professional management, modern technology, regulatory compliance. But something was lost too: the personality, the individuality, the sense that each casino was its own world. Now, resorts were managed as portfolio assets. Properties that underperformed were sold or redeveloped. Marketing was coordinated across multiple properties. Everything was optimized for profitability. This isn't necessarily bad. The corporate era brought Las Vegas unprecedented growth. From 2000 to 2019, Las Vegas grew from 36 million visitors a year to 42 million. Hotel room inventory expanded massively. The city became a global destination for conventions, trade shows, and corporate events. But it also became more homogeneous. Walking from MGM Grand to Caesar's Palace, you pass through properties that are owned by the same companies. The rewards cards work everywhere. The same slot machines appear in every casino. The same celebrity chef restaurants operate in multiple locations. Variety comes not from ownership diversity, but from branding. MGM positions Bellagio as ultra-luxury, while Excalibur serves families. Caesars positions Caesar's Palace as upscale, while Harrah's targets middle-tier guests. But, behind the scenes, it's the same company. The real estate revolution. In recent years, both MGM and Caesars made another major shift. They separated real estate ownership from casino operations. In 2016, MGM created MGM Growth Properties, a real estate investment trust. MGM Growth Properties owned the land and buildings. MGM Resorts operated the casinos and hotels as a tenant. This financial engineering freed up capital. Real estate investment trusts can raise money more easily than casino operators. MGM used the capital to pay down debt and invest in new projects. Other companies followed the model. In 2020, Blackstone Group and MGM Growth Properties formed a joint venture to own MGM Grand and Mandalay Bay properties. MGM Resorts continued operating them, but no longer owned the real estate. In 2021, MGM sold the real estate assets of Aria and Vdara to Blackstone. In 2022, Vici Properties acquired MGM Growth Properties entirely. Vici Properties is now the largest owner of casino real estate in America. They own the buildings. MGM operates the businesses. Caesars followed a similar path. During its bankruptcy, Caesars created Vici Properties as a way to separate real estate assets and reduce debt. Properties like Caesar's Palace, Harrah's Las Vegas, and others are owned by Vici, but operated by Caesars Entertainment. This separation might seem technical, but it fundamentally changed how Las Vegas works. Casinos no longer need massive capital to buy land and construct buildings. They lease from real estate companies and focus on operations. It allows faster expansion with less financial risk. But it also means casino companies have less equity in their own properties. If a lease isn't renewed, or if rental costs increase, operators have limited options. The model prioritizes financial flexibility over long-term asset ownership. The future of corporate Las Vegas. As we look at Las Vegas today, we see a city utterly transformed by corporate power. MGM Resorts International operates properties globally. In Las Vegas, Macau, Japan, and online. The company has diversified into sports betting through BetMGM. They own and operate entertainment venues like the MGM Grand Garden Arena and T-Mobile Arena. They have invested in sports franchises and entertainment partnerships. Caesars Entertainment similarly operates properties nationwide and has expanded into online gaming. The Total Rewards database, now called Caesars Rewards, remains one of the most valuable assets in gaming. Both companies face challenges. The COVID-19 pandemic devastated tourism and convention business. Competition from online gaming and sports betting is changing customer behavior. Younger generations gamble differently than their parents did, and Las Vegas faces competition from new markets. Macau generates more gaming revenue than Las Vegas. Singapore's integrated resorts attract high-end Asian clientele. Japanese integrated resorts are under development. Tribal casinos across America offer convenient gambling without a plane flight to Nevada. How do MGM and Caesars respond? They focus on non-gaming revenue. Both companies now make more money from hotel rooms, restaurants, nightclubs, and entertainment than from gambling. The casino floor remains important, but it's no longer the sole focus. They embrace technology. Mobile apps let customers manage their accounts, order food, book shows, and even play some games. Artificial intelligence helps optimize pricing and promotions. Virtual reality and immersive experiences are being tested. They pursue younger demographics. Nightclubs, esports tournaments, music festivals. Las Vegas has become as much about entertainment and experience as about gambling, and they continue consolidating. In 2022, MGM sold the Mirage to Hard Rock International for over $1 billion. Caesars explores joint ventures and partnerships to enter new markets without massive capital investment. The corporate model adapts, but the core remains. Use data to understand customers, use scale to offer diverse experiences, use marketing to drive loyalty. It's a far cry from the days when Kirk Kerkorian bet everything on a single grand vision, or when Bill Hara personally greeted guests at his Reno bingo parlor. But it's how modern Las Vegas works. Two corporations dominating a city that once prided itself on individual operators and independent spirit. It's more efficient, more profitable, more stable, but also more predictable. Reflections on the transformation. As we reach the end of this story, it's worth reflecting on what the rise of corporate mega developers means for Las Vegas. Kirk Kerkorian's journey from 8th grade dropout to billionaire developer is remarkable. He built the world's largest hotel 3 times. He survived tragedy, financial crises, and corporate battles. His vision transformed Las Vegas from a collection of mob-run casinos into a legitimate entertainment destination. Bill Hara's creation of a customer-focused, data-driven casino company changed the industry forever. The Total Rewards program and database analytics are now standard practice everywhere. The merger waves of the 2000s consolidated the industry into a few major players. MGM and Caesars control most of the Strip. Smaller operators struggle to compete. Independent casino developers are increasingly rare. This consolidation brings benefits: professional management, regulatory compliance, stable employment for tens of thousands of workers, massive reinvestment in infrastructure and entertainment, world-class restaurants, shows, and nightclubs. But it also brings downsides. Reduced competition can lead to higher prices, homogenization of experiences across properties, loss of the individual character that made each casino unique. Corporate decision-making replaces entrepreneurial vision. Financial engineering and optimization replace big swings and grand dreams. The Las Vegas Strip is more successful than ever by most measures. Revenue is higher, visitation is higher, employment is higher. But the romance is different. There is no modern equivalent of Kirk Kerkorian betting $1 billion on a theme park. There's no Steve Wynn saying, "Let's build an erupting volcano in front of a casino." Today's casino development is calculated, analyzed, and optimized. It's based on market research and financial modeling. It's less likely to fail spectacularly, but also less likely to surprise and delight in unexpected ways. The legacy. So what is the legacy of MGM and Caesars? The two corporate giants that transformed Las Vegas. They proved that scale matters. Building one great casino is impressive. Building 10 and operating them as an integrated network is a business empire. They proved that data matters. Understanding customer behavior through sophisticated analytics generates more profit than gut instinct ever could. They proved that brands matter. MGM, Caesars, Bellagio, Aria, these names carry weight and recognition worldwide. They prove that diversification matters. When gaming revenues fall, restaurants, nightclubs, conventions, and entertainment keep money flowing. They prove that real estate matters. Owning or controlling the most valuable land on the Strip is crucial to long-term success. They proved that regulation and legitimacy matter. Public companies with institutional shareholders and professional management replaced mob operators. Las Vegas became respectable. Wall Street invested. Families visited. Convention organizers booked events without worrying about criminal connections. But, perhaps most importantly, MGM and Caesars proved that Las Vegas itself matters. The city is more than just a desert gambling town. It's a global entertainment capital. A city of 43 million visitors a year. A city that generates billions in revenue and employs hundreds of thousands of people. A city that constantly reinvents itself. From mob casinos to themed mega resorts to ultra-luxury properties to integrated entertainment destinations. MGM and Caesars didn't just build casinos. They built a city. They built an industry. They built a model copied around the world. From Macau to Singapore to Manila, integrated resorts follow the template pioneered in Las Vegas. Casino plus hotel, plus restaurants, plus entertainment, plus shopping equals a destination that appeals to a broad audience. Gaming provides the profit margin. Everything else provides a draw. It's the formula that works. And it started with Kirk Kerkorian building the International Hotel in 1969. It continued with Bill Hurrah creating customer loyalty programs in the 1990s. It accelerated with massive consolidation in the 2000s. And it continues today with MGM Resorts International and Caesars Entertainment operating properties around the globe. The human element. As we close this story, it's important to remember the human element. Behind every statistic, every acquisition, every billion-dollar project, there are people. The architects who designed these buildings, the construction workers who built them, the employees who staffed them, the guests who visit them. 6 workers died building City Center. Their names were Marco Medina Cruz, Lance Hawley, Raymond Vasquez, Charnel Sinanan, Li Hongsheng, Jeffrey Taylor. They gave their lives building a vision that wasn't their own. Thousands of employees lost jobs during the recession and the bankruptcy years. Families were uprooted, careers were disrupted, dreams were deferred. The consolidation that made MGM and Caesars so powerful came at a human cost. But there's also the positive side. Hundreds of thousands of people earn a living working for these companies. Dealers, bartenders, housekeepers, chefs, engineers, security guards, entertainers. They support families, send children to college, build lives. The companies provide healthcare, retirement plans, and opportunities for advancement. They invest in community programs and charitable causes. They help Las Vegas thrive as a city, not just as a tourist destination. Millions of guests create memories in these properties. Weddings, anniversaries, bachelor parties, girls' weekends, family vacations. For many people, visiting Las Vegas is a high point of their year, a chance to escape routine, experience luxury, feel alive. The corporations facilitate those experiences. So yes, MGM and Caesars are massive, data-driven, profit-optimized corporate entities. But they're also part of the fabric of Las Vegas. They're part of what makes the city work. Final thoughts. The rise of corporate mega developers in Las Vegas is a story of vision, ambition, and transformation. Kirk Kerkorian saw a blank canvas and painted the world's largest hotels. Bill Hurrah saw the value of treating customers well and tracking their preferences. Gary Loveman saw the power of data to optimize every decision. The executives who followed, Terry Lani, Jim Murren, Tom Reeg, and many others, built on these foundations. They navigated financial crises, regulatory challenges, and competitive threats. They merged companies, sold properties, refinanced debt, and adapted to changing markets. They turned Las Vegas into what it is today. A corporate-dominated entertainment destination that generates billions in annual revenue. The mob is long gone. The individual operators are mostly gone too. What remains are 2 corporate giants and a handful of competitors. They've brought stability, professionalism, and massive capital investment. They've also brought homogenization, financial engineering, and corporate caution. Whether that's good or bad depends on your perspective. If you value consistency, professionalism, and data-driven efficiency, the corporate era is a triumph. If you value individuality, risk-taking, and entrepreneurial vision, the corporate era represents loss. Probably, the truth is somewhere in between. Las Vegas needed to shed its mob connections and embrace legitimacy. The corporate model made that possible. But something was lost in the process. The wildness, the audacity, the sense that anything could happen. Today's Las Vegas is safer, cleaner, and more reliable than ever before. It's also more predictable. Maybe that's just the price of growth. You can't stay small and scrappy forever. Cities evolve, industries mature, corporations consolidate. It's the natural arc of capitalism. Las Vegas just moved through that arc faster than most places. From frontier gambling town, to mob-run casinos, to themed mega resorts, to corporate-dominated entertainment capital. All in less than a century. MGM and Caesars didn't create this transformation alone. But they were the primary drivers. They assembled the properties. They invested the capital. They built the infrastructure. They turned Las Vegas from a city of casinos into an entertainment empire. And they did it while facing bankruptcies, recessions, regulatory battles, and intense competition. That's no small feat. Love them or hate them, MGM Resorts International and Caesars Entertainment are the corporate giants that built modern Las Vegas. The story is the story of how individual vision becomes corporate power, how personal dreams become institutional strategies, how a city in the desert becomes a global entertainment capital. It's a story of transformation, and it's still being written. The dawn of a new era. As we enter the 2020s, Las Vegas faces new challenges and opportunities. The COVID-19 pandemic hit the city hard. Casinos closed for months in 2020. When they reopened, capacity limits and health restrictions reduced revenue. Convention business, a crucial income source, vanished almost entirely. MGM and Caesars both suffered massive losses, but the corporations had resources to weather the storm. They furloughed workers, negotiated with creditors, accessed credit lines. Smaller, independent operators struggled far more. The pandemic reinforced the advantages of corporate scale. As the world recovers, Las Vegas is adapting once again. Sports betting is booming. Both MGM and Caesars have major online gambling operations. BetMGM and Caesars Sportsbook compete for customers nationwide. The Nevada law that once required physical presence to gamble is giving way to apps and mobile platforms. Las Vegas is also embracing sports in new ways. The city now has major league sports teams. The Vegas Golden Knights in hockey, the Las Vegas Raiders in football, the Las Vegas Aces in women's basketball. Professional sports bring a different kind of visitor, not the tourist looking for a weekend of gambling, but the local fan attending games regularly. MGM built T-Mobile Arena to house the Golden Knights. Caesars sponsors numerous sports partnerships. The relationship between casinos and sports is deepening. Formula One returned to Las Vegas in 2023 with a race on the Strip. It's the highest profile motorsports event in North America. Hotels charge thousands of dollars a night during race weekend. Casinos build viewing platforms overlooking the track. It's spectacle on a massive scale. Exactly what Las Vegas does best. Technology is also changing the landscape. Virtual reality, augmented reality, immersive experiences. Young guests want more than slot machines and table games. They want Instagram-worthy moments, interactive experiences, social connection. Both MGM and Caesars are experimenting with new concepts. Nightclubs that use projection mapping, restaurants that incorporate performance art, gaming floors that feel more like entertainment venues. The casino is no longer the center of the resort. It's one amenity among many. For corporations, this requires constant investment and innovation. Properties can't rest on their laurels. They must evolve or become obsolete. The challenge is doing this while maintaining profitability and servicing debt. It's a delicate balance, and it's one that only large corporations with diversified portfolios can really manage. A single property can't afford to take big risks, but a corporation with 20 properties can experiment at 2 or 3, while the others generate stable income. That's the advantage of scale. That's why MGM and Caesars will likely continue dominating Las Vegas for decades to come. Conclusion: the house always wins. We began this story in the desert heat, where something extraordinary was happening. A city built by mobsters and dreamers was changing hands. Corporate power was emerging. We end with MGM Resorts International and Caesars Entertainment controlling most of the Las Vegas Strip. Publicly traded companies with institutional investors and professional management. Properties optimized for efficiency and profitability. Loyalty programs tracking every customer behavior. Marketing campaigns based on data analytics. Financial structures separating real estate ownership from operations. It's a far cry from the Wild West days of mobsters and individual operators. But it's the reality of modern Las Vegas. The corporate model won. Scale, data, and diversification proved more powerful than individual vision and gut instinct. MGM and Caesars aren't perfect. They've made mistakes, they've faced bankruptcies and financial crises, they've struggled with debt and competition. But they survived, and they grew. They transformed Las Vegas into a global entertainment capital. They proved that corporate power could build something extraordinary. Kirk Kerkorian once said that he didn't build big hotels for the sake of size. He built them to house a variety of diversions for guests. That philosophy still guides Las Vegas today. Resorts aren't just casinos. They're entertainment destinations, hotels, restaurants, nightclubs, shows, shopping, sports, conventions, all integrated into one experience, all designed to keep guests on property spending money. It's the corporate model, perfected, and it works. Las Vegas attracts over 40 million visitors a year. It generates tens of billions in annual revenue. It employs hundreds of thousands of people. It's one of the most recognized cities in the world. MGM and Caesars built that. They didn't do it alone. There were other players, other contributors, other visions, but they were the primary architects of modern Las Vegas. From Kirk Kerkorian's first hotel in 1969 to the integrated entertainment destinations of today, it's been a remarkable journey. The rise of corporate mega developers transformed not just Las Vegas, but the entire gaming industry. The model pioneered here has been replicated around the world. Macau, Singapore, Manila, soon Japan. Everywhere, the formula is the same. Integrated resort, diversified revenue streams, loyalty programs, data analytics. It all started in Las Vegas. It all started with visionaries who saw potential where others saw only desert sand. It all started with corporations willing to invest billions in the belief that entertainment could be a massive business. They were right. The house always wins. And in modern Las Vegas, the house is a publicly traded corporation with a diversified portfolio and a sophisticated data analytics operation. It's not romantic. It's not Wild West. But it's remarkably successful. That's the story of how MGM and Caesars transformed Las Vegas. From individual operators to corporate giants. From mob casinos to entertainment destinations. From desert outposts to global capital of gaming and leisure. It's a uniquely American story. Capitalism, ambition, and transformation on a massive scale. And it all happened in the desert, under the neon lights, where dreams are made and fortunes are won. Las Vegas, the city that never sleeps, the city that never stops reinventing itself, the city built by corporate mega developers, the city that proves that sometimes the biggest visions require the biggest players. MGM and Caesars, two companies that changed everything.